So you want to know how Hatsun Agro is doing, huh?
Yeah, how they're navigating this, kind of shaky economic climate.
And how they're planning for growth in the future. Well, you've sent over some interesting stuff
Yeah, 2 press releases.
from Hatsun Agro, right?
Mm-hmm.
One's all about their Q3 results.
And the other one, it outlines, the outcomes from their recent board meeting.
Plus, your own list of questions here.
Some insightful questions, I'd say.
Let's dive into these documents.
Yeah, let's see what we can uncover.
Okay, so what do we know about Hatsun Agro?
Well, the thing is, they operate solely in the milk and milk products segment. So, their performances really gives us a focused snapshot of that market.
Especially in India.
Especially in India, right?
Okay, so let's get into those numbers.
Let's do it.
Revenue from operations for Q3 of fiscal year 2025 hit 2,009.75 crores.
Wow.
That's like a 15% increase from the same quarter last year.
Yeah, that signals some pretty strong growth.
Despite, all the talk about an economic slowdown.
Exactly.
Profit after tax for the quarter came in at 40.94 crores.
Okay.
Now, if we zoom out and look at the year-to-date figures,
Okay.
for the 9 months ending December 31st, 2024,
Right.
revenue is even more impressive, I'd say, 6,456.91 crores.
Okay.
With a profit after tax of 235.880 crores.
That's some serious momentum.
It is something to pay attention to.
For sure.
Absolutely. And basic earnings per share for those 9 months are 10.58.
Okay.
Now, before we move on,
Yeah.
I think it's good to kind of explain what earnings per share actually means.
Right.
Especially, for anyone listening who's, maybe new to this whole finance world.
Yeah, it can be a bit confusing.
It is a little, yeah. So essentially, it's the portion of a company's profit
Okay.
allocated to each outstanding share of common stock.
Okay.
So it's a key metric that investors use
Yeah.
to gauge a company's profitability.
Right. Makes sense.
So the higher the earnings per share.
The more profitable the company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that gives us a little context for those numbers.
Definitely. Definitely. And speaking of context, this financial data was reviewed by Deloitte Haskins and Sells LLP.
Oh.
So that's, that independent review, that's a stamp of approval.
Yeah. Gives us confidence in those figures.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got strong financials on the surface, at least.
Yeah, seems like it.
Let's turn to those board meeting insights.
Okay.
First up, they've appointed Ernst & Young LLP as internal auditors for fiscal year 2025-26.
Okay, interesting. So that's a good indicator, I think, of their commitment to transparency and good corporate governance. It's like having a second set of eyes on everything.
I like that analogy.
Making sure it's all running smoothly
Yeah.
and ethically,
Okay, so now here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready.
They've decided to invest in FP Solar Shakti Private Limited. So this is, about consuming solar energy
Okay.
under what they call a group captive consumption facility.
So what does that mean exactly?
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, a group captive consumption facility means Hatsun Agro is kind of, joining forces
Okay.
with other companies
I see.
to generate and use solar energy.
So they're basically teaming up
Yeah.
to go solar.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that can lead to, significant cost savings.
Of course, yeah.
And a smaller carbon footprint, right?
Which is, becoming increasingly important for businesses these days.
Huge, yeah.
Absolutely.
So they're being proactive and thinking long term.
Yeah, it definitely signals a commitment to, sustainable practices.
Yeah, I think-
And it aligns with, that global trend of businesses embracing renewable energy.
Big time.
Consumers are becoming, more and more environmentally conscious.
Sure.
And this move could really, give Hatsun Agro an edge in the market.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win-win, right?
Totally.
Okay, so we've got strong financials, we've got this focus on transparency, we've got a commitment to sustainability.
Yeah, they're checking a lot of boxes.
They are. Let's dive into those insightful questions that you provided
Okay.
and see what else we can learn. So your first question here,
Okay.
you asked about the key highlights
Uh-huh.
of Hatsun Agro Product Ltd's Q3 fiscal year 2025 results.
Right.
So we've already touched on some of those highlights.
We'd have, yeah.
But I think it's worth, really emphasizing that impressive year-on-year growth
Yeah.
in both revenue and profit.
For sure. It really demonstrates that that their strategies are effective.
Yeah.
Even in a fluctuating economic landscape.
Which is key.
It is. It is.
Speaking of the economy, your next question is about the company's performance compared to the same quarter last year. And as we've seen, it's a resounding thumbs up.
It is. It is. Revenue, profit, even those earnings per share, they're all showing substantial increases.
They are. They are.
Which brings us to your third question. What were the major factors driving this growth?
Right.
That's a good question.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And while the press releases don't really go into a ton of detail,
Right.
we can maybe make some educated guesses.
I think we can, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, for example, the increasing demand for dairy products in India, I think, is likely a big factor.
Yeah.
As disposable incomes rise and people are kind of becoming more health conscious, milk products are becoming like way more popular.
Yeah.
And Hatsun Agro, with their wide range of offerings and that strong distribution network that we were talking about,
right,
they're really well positioned to capitalize on this trend.
It's like being in the right place at the right time with the right product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your fourth question is about how Hatsun Agro managed their costs and the impact on their profit margins.
Right. Let's see.
Their total expenses for Q3 of fiscal year 2025 were 1,956.33 crores.
Okay.
But as you mentioned earlier, we need to kind of look beyond just that total figure.
Yeah, definitely. A breakdown of those costs, I think, would be a lot more revealing. It would show us like how efficiently they're handling things like raw materials, employee benefits, and other expenses. It's like looking under the hood of a car to see how the engine is running.
Look at that.
Okay,
so let's shift gears a little bit to your fifth question.
Okay.
About the challenges Hatsun Agro faced in Q3 of fiscal year 2025.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Now, we don't have like specific challenges outlined in these documents, but we can maybe consider some industry-wide factors.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there's the always fluctuating price of milk, for example, that can have like a huge impact on a company's bottom line. And then there's, competition from other dairy players.
Of course.
That's always a factor.
It is. And then, of course, you've got things like inflation.
Right.
And changing consumer preferences.
Yeah, that's a complex landscape to navigate.
It really is. Okay, so your next question asks for a breakdown of the company's performance in their major segments.
Okay.
Like dairy and other products. But we saw earlier that they operate solely in that milk and milk product segment.
They do, yeah. Their financial statement notes specifically state that.
They do. So their overall performance is a direct reflection of, how well they're doing in this single but significant market.
Exactly.
Okay. So no need to dissect that further.
Nope.
Your seventh question is about how overall market conditions affected Hatsun Agro's performance in Q3 of fiscal year 2025.
Okay. So this is where I think things get a little more nuanced.
Yeah.
Factors like consumer spending and inflation and interest rates, they all kind of play a part in shaping market conditions. For example, high inflation could drive up the cost of raw materials.
Oh, right.
And that could, put pressure on Hatsun Agro's profit margins.
Right. Yeah. On the other hand, if consumer spending remains strong, demand for their products could continue to rise.
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance.
It is.
Isn't it?
So your eighth question is about their strategies for improving profit margins going forward.
Right.
While we don't have any specifics, that investment in FT Solar Shakti, I think, speaks volumes.
It really does, yeah. It shows that they're focused on, that long-term cost optimization and sustainability. It's not just a feel-good move.
No.
It's a smart business decision.
Exactly. Okay, so what about any notable changes in their balance sheet or cash flow?
Yeah.
That's your ninth question.
Right. Unfortunately, these press releases, they don't provide a complete balance sheet.
Okay.
Or a cash flow statement. So those would really give us, some deeper insights into their financial health.
So we're working with a snapshot, not the full picture.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, your 10th question is about how they plan to sustain or improve their growth in the next quarter.
Right, right. Well, I mean, from what we've seen, they seem to be focused on both, operational efficiency
Hmm.
and strategic investments.
Like that solar energy initiative,
Exactly, yeah.
which, could lead to lower costs
Mm-hmm.
and kind of enhance their brand image
Yeah, for sure.
with those environmentally conscious consumers.
For sure. It's a smart move. And,
Mm.
continuous product innovation and strengthening their distribution network, those are all going to be key for staying ahead of the curve.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, your 11th question asks about any new developments, products, or markets that contributed to these results.
Right.
It would be great to have those specifics,
Yeah.
but these press releases don't really highlight any.
Right. Right.
But it's possible that, incremental improvements
Mm-hmm.
across their operations kind of contributed to their success.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's the small kind of behind the scenes tweaks,
Yeah.
that can make a really big difference.
They do. They do. Okay, so your 12th question asks how this performance compared to the company's own expectations.
Right, right. To answer that, I think we'd need access to their financial guidance from earlier in the year.
Yeah, yeah.
So without that context, we can't really, definitively say whether they exceeded, met, or fell short of their goals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what about their future outlook
Hmm.
based on these Q3 results?
Yeah.
That's your 13th question.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it looks promising, I'd say, based on their solid performance
Yeah.
and those strategic moves.
Mm-hmm.
But, we got to remember that, external factors like the overall economic climate, any changes in regulations,
Mm-hmm.
those can always have an impact.
Yeah, there are always external factors to consider.
Exactly.
Okay, your 14th question focuses on how stakeholders are responding to these results
Okay.
and what it means for investors.
Right. Well, to really, know for sure,
Yeah.
we'd need more data, like market reports or analyst opinions.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, positive financial results like these, they tend to boost investor confidence and likely lead to, favorable media coverage
For sure.
and maybe even some upward movement in their stock price.
Exactly. Good performance often translates to increased value
Mm-hmm.
for shareholders.
For sure.
Okay, so your final question is about any specific areas of improvement
Okay.
that Hatsun Agro is focusing on
Uh-huh.
for upcoming quarters.
Right. Again, we don't have specifics from these documents, but
Yeah.
we can make some educated guesses
Right. Yeah.
based on what we've learned.
What do you think?
Well, I'd say continued cost optimization,
Yeah.
operational efficiency, and further sustainability initiatives.
Mhm.
I think those are all likely to remain like key priorities for them. They've laid a good foundation, and now it's really about building on that momentum.
It is. Okay, so we've unpacked a lot here. We've analyzed Hatsun Agro's financial performance,
Yeah.
explored the drivers of their success,
Yeah.
and considered what this all means for the industry as a whole.
Definitely.
I'm curious, like what stands out to you from this initial deep dive?
Well, for me, it's that combination of strong financial results
Mm-hmm.
and strategic vision,
Yeah.
They're not just riding the wave, they're actively shaping their future.
They are. They're not just reacting. They're actually planning ahead.
Exactly.
I agree. That blend of smart business decisions
Yeah.
and a commitment to sustainability, it really makes them a fascinating company to watch.
It does.
And it's a good reminder that even financial data can tell a pretty compelling story.
It can.
If you know how to read between the lines a little bit.
Exactly.
So we'll be back
We'll be back.
to dig a little deeper into Hatsun Agro.
Can't wait.
Okay, see you then.
See you then. Yeah, it's like we've pieced together a puzzle, using these financial results to really understand Hatsun Agro's overall strategy.
Exactly. And it's fascinating to see how, even seemingly like basic information,
Yeah.
like, revenue and expenses
Uh-huh.
can reveal so much
They can.
about a company's, approach. But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
What does Hatsun Agro's performance, tell us about the broader dairy industry in India.
Well, I think their success definitely points to a strong and growing market
Okay.
for milk and milk products. It seems like as incomes rise
Yeah.
and consumer preferences kind of sort of evolve,
Right.
there's a growing demand
Yeah.
for these for these kinds of products.
So Hatsun Agro is, riding a wave, but they're also paddling like crazy to stay ahead of the competition.
Yeah, they're not just, sitting back
No, no, no.
and letting it happen.
Yeah. They've got that, wide range of products and that robust distribution network we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Yeah, and let's not forget their investment in solar energy.
Yeah.
That really points to a larger trend, I think,
Uh-huh.
of sustainability
Mm-hmm.
in the consumer goods sector.
Each time, yeah.
It's not just a niche concern anymore.
Right.
It's something that consumers are actively seeking out.
They are. So
Right.
so companies that ignore this shift
Yeah.
towards sustainability
Mm-hmm.
might find themselves, falling behind.
I think it's definitely a risk,
Yeah.
Consumers are becoming, I think, more discerning about where their products come from
I see.
and how they're produced.
Mm.
And companies that align with those values are, they're likely to have a competitive advantage.
They are. They are. So what does all this mean for you, the listener?
Well, if you're interested in the consumer goods sector,
Yeah.
particularly, in emerging markets like India,
Uh-huh.
I think Hatsun Agro's journey, it offers like some valuable insights. It demonstrates the potential for growth in the dairy industry,
Mm-hmm.
and it highlights the importance of factors like distribution,
Right.
product innovation, and of course sustainability.
It does. It does. It also shows the importance of staying informed. Right?
Absolutely, yeah,
Financial performance. It can reveal a lot about a company.
it can.
Not just their current health,
Uh-huh.
but also their plans for the future.
It's like a window into their thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before we move on, though,
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back
Okay.
to one detail
Okay.
from the board meeting outcome.
Okay. Yeah.
The revised remuneration package
Right.
for the managing director.
Mm-hmm.
Now, while specifics weren't disclosed,
Right.
it does kind of raise questions,
It does.
about executive compensation.
It does, especially I think in the context of the company's overall performance.
Exactly. There's always that balancing act
Right.
between rewarding leadership
Mm-hmm.
and ensuring responsible corporate governance.
Yeah, it's something that investors and the public are increasingly scrutinizing.
They are.
Transparency in these matters is essential, I think.
It is.
For building trust.
It is, and we've seen how crucial that transparency is.
Yeah.
For Hatsun Agro, it's a thread that runs through all their decisions.
For sure.
So we've analyzed their financial performance, we've delved into the drivers of their success, and we've considered the broader implications, for their industry. What really stands out to you from all of this?
I think what strikes me is how they're balancing present success,
Yeah.
with future planning. They're not just, reacting to market changes. They're actively shaping their destiny, I'd say.
They're not resting on their laurels.
No, not at all.
That's for sure.
And it's a good reminder, I think, that even in, a traditional industry
Uh-huh.
like dairy,
Yeah.
innovation and forward thinking, they're essential
They are. Yeah.
for continued growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like they're playing chess, right?
Uh-huh.
Thinking several moves ahead.
That's a great way to put it. They're really anticipating changes in the market and making like strategic decisions to stay ahead of the game.
Exactly. Okay, so let's take a moment to kind of, summarize what we've learned
Yeah, good idea.
from our deep dive into Hatsun Agro Product Ltd's Q3 fiscal year 2025 performance.
Okay, so first and foremost, I'd say, their financials are solid.
Solid, yeah.
They're demonstrating like some really impressive growth,
Ah,
in both revenue and and profit year over year.
they are.
So, So this indicates, that they're on a healthy trajectory,
Right.
and their strategies are paying off.
And remember, this isn't just about, riding the coattails of a growing market.
Right, right.
They're making deliberate moves
They are.
to solidify their position
Uh-huh.
and ensure, long-term success.
Long-term thinking, like their investment, in FP Solar Shakti Private Limited,
Right, right.
which, as we talked about, that really demonstrates a commitment
Uh-huh.
to sustainability.
Mm-hmm. And that move is good for the environment, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But increasingly, it's what consumers are looking for.
They are. They want to support, companies that share their values,
Yeah.
and this really it positions Hatsun Agro, I think, as a forward-thinking leader,
Yeah.
in the industry. And it could give them a real advantage, I think, as consumer preferences continue to evolve.
For sure, for sure. They're also, prioritizing good corporate governance,
Mm-hmm.
as evidenced by their appointment of Ernst & Young LLP as internal auditors.
Right, right. That's an important step, I think. Transparency and accountability, they're essential
They are.
for building trust.
Absolutely.
With investors, with the public. It really shows that they're committed to doing things the right way.
So overall, Hatsun Agro is presenting a very compelling picture, I think,
They are.
of growth, strategic vision, dedication to sustainability.
It's an exciting company to watch,
It is.
I'm curious to see how they continue to adapt and innovate in the coming quarters.
Me too. Me too. Now we've covered a lot of ground here,
Yeah, we have.
but there's always more to explore. We didn't have access to their full financial statements,
Right.
So those would be worth examining.
Definitely, yeah. To get a more complete understanding of their financial health.
Exactly. It would also be interesting to kind of delve deeper into their strategies for navigating some of those industry specific challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
Like those fluctuating milk prices we talked about earlier.
Right, right. How do they manage that volatility,
Exactly. And how do they plan to stay ahead of the competition in such a dynamic market?
It's a good question.
There are a lot of intriguing questions to ponder. So as we leave you to kind of mull over all of this,
Yeah.
here's a final thought to chew on.
Okay. I'm ready.
Hatsun Agro's investment in renewable energy,
Mm-hmm.
it shows a real commitment to sustainability.
It does.
Do you think this trend will become like a defining factor for success in the consumer goods industry?
Mm.
Will we see more and more companies, prioritizing environmental responsibility?
Yeah, to meet that growing consumer demand.
Exactly.
It's a question worth considering.
It is.
It'll be fascinating to see how this trend unfolds and how it shapes the future of the industry as a whole.
It will. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Hatsun Agro Product Ltd.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time for another insightful exploration.
Sounds good.
Okay, see you then.
See you later.